Okay, so we're diving deep today into a really fascinating development in African politics. You sent over some info on a really remarkable first in Namibia.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And Namibia now stands alone as the first African nation with both a female president and a female vice president.
That's right, and it happened just last week.
Right, March 21st, 2025. So this deep dive is all about what this historic moment signifies.
Absolutely, and I think it's particularly interesting because it coincided with Namibia's 35th Independence Day.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is a big deal then. So Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah is the new president.
That's right.
And she's succeeding the outgoing president, Nangolo Mbumba, who retired at the age of 83.
Yeah, he had a really long run.
Wow, yeah. Okay, so Nandi-Ndaitwah is 72 years old and has a really deep history with SWAPO.
Exactly.
The Southwest Africa People's Organization.
Yeah, for folks who might not be totally up on their Namibian political history, SWAPO has been the dominant political force in the country since Namibia gained independence from South Africa back in 1990.
Right, so it's been around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Nandi-Ndaitwah's win, it wasn't like some kind of surprise upset or anything?
No, not at all. Her rise to the presidency has been a long time coming. It reflects decades of involvement within the party that really, led the nation to freedom.
Right, okay, so this victory is more than just like symbolic. It's rooted in Namibia's political landscape.
I think that's a really good way to put it.
Okay, and we've been talking about Namibia, obviously, but how does this fit into the broader African continent? Is Namibia an isolated case, or is this part of a larger trend of women rising in leadership roles across Africa?
It's a great question, and I would say Namibia is definitely at the forefront of this trend, but there's a growing trend of women taking on really significant roles across the continent.
Okay, so Namibia might be leading the way, but they're not alone.
Not at all.
Okay, that's interesting. So I was looking at the background information you sent over, and I was pretty struck by the fact that President Nandi-Ndaitwah is just one of 24 African women who have served in top leadership positions.
Yeah, that's right. 24 women have served as elected presidents, acting heads of state or prime ministers.
24, that's actually more than I would have guessed. And I also noticed that the source material highlighted something even more striking about those presidential roles.
Right. Of those 24 women, 5 have achieved the presidency through direct election.
Oh, wow. So they weren't just appointed or anything like that.
Exactly. They won the popular vote.
Right. That's a pretty crucial distinction. I think it really indicates a direct mandate from the people you know.
Right.
And it signifies a shift in public perception about women's capacity to lead at the highest level.
Absolutely.
Wow. 5 directly elected female presidents in Africa. It really makes you think about the specific factors that allow some nations to reach this point, while others still face really significant hurdles. Specific factors that allow some nations to reach this point, while others still face really significant hurdles.
Yeah, it's an important question to consider for sure.
So what do you think, what kind of environment allows for this kind of progress to happen?
Well, I mean, if we look at Namibia as a case study, we have to think about what's unique about its history, its political landscape, its social dynamics.
Right.
What combination of political, societal evolution, and maybe even historical circumstances creates the conditions for women to reach these top offices?
Right, and what might be hindering that same progress in other contexts?
Exactly. These are tough questions, and I don't think there's a single easy answer, but looking at examples like Namibia can give us some insights.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great place to leave it for our listeners today. Namibia has given us a lot to think about when it comes to women in leadership.
I agree. There's a lot to learn from their experience.
So for all of you listening out there, I want you to think about this. What do you think are the key factors that either enable or hinder this kind of progress in different parts of the world?
It's a question worth pondering.
Absolutely. And it'll be fascinating to see what the future holds for women in leadership positions across the globe.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me too. Thanks for taking this deep dive with me today.
It was my pleasure.
And for all our listeners out there, be sure to tune in next time for another deep dive into a fascinating topic.
See you then.